When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This is Cindy Burnett. Welcome to my award-winning podcast, Thoughts from a Page, a member of the Evergreen Podcast Network. On this show, I chat with authors whose books I have enjoyed about their new releases and others in the book world about the books they have loved. With so many books coming out weekly, it can be hard to decide what to read, so I find the best ones and share them with you. In a similar vein, I recently released my 17-page 2025 Winter Reading Guide that highlights 45 recent and upcoming releases, plus new titles in book series, fiction, nonfiction pairings, stellar mystery series, and some anticipated spring and summer releases. All of these will make great reads for this winter and spring. I strive to find those under-the-radar gems. If you're interested, fill out the Google form in the show notes and submit a tip of your choosing. Today, Kelly Hooker returns, this time for April's real-time reading. As always, we talk about books we've recently read and loved, books we're currently reading, what's up next for us, what's come in the mail, and a few that didn't work so well. I hope you enjoy our conversation.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
Welcome, Kelly. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Cindy. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm really looking forward to our April real-time reading. It's always so much fun to hear about what's happening with you, what you're reading, what's worked, what hasn't.
Yes, we have a lot to catch up on.
We do. Before we do that, what has been happening in your world?
Well, this past weekend, we celebrated Easter and my son's 7th birthday on the same day, so it was a weekend of celebration. And he did not want a big party or anything. He wanted immediate family only. And he really wanted to go to Schuler, which is our local independent bookstore. And so we went there and sat together at the cafe, and he read his book and I read my Kindle, and it was just the sweetest time together.
That sounds wonderful, and I cannot believe he is 7 years old.
I know. He is just getting to the point where he is becoming more interested in reading the words on the page. He always has pored over pictures in books and loved encyclopedias and listening to audiobooks and just was, very captivated by all of that. But now he's actually learning to read the words on the page and asking me like, hey, Mom, what does this say? And I'm so excited to see that budding literacy in him. It's so much fun.
It is so exciting when it all comes together for them. I love that.
Yes, it's the sweetest time. How are you?
I'm good. Things have finally settled down enough that I am able to read far enough ahead that I can start slotting the podcast farther out like I like to, which I haven't been able to do in a while. So I'm already booked up through middle of July. I did 3 interviews this week. They were all June interviews. So I feel like I am getting more settled and more organized the way I like to be.
Oh, that feels so good. I'm happy for you.
Yes, it makes me happy too, because when I'm rushing around and trying to slot in people and looking for books, it's difficult. So to be able to read far enough ahead and say, okay, these are the people I really want to highlight this month, it's just such a relief.
Oh, that feels good.
And we've been working on the literary lookbook, which will come out right after this episode drops.
Yes, we have been diligently adding books to our spreadsheet and plan this weekend to be adding stuff into our actual document where we import all of the covers to finish off a beautiful resource that we hope is helpful to readers that highlights books organized by publication date, and you can see the book covers, and so you'll know exactly which books are coming out to the best of our knowledge from May, some books that we missed with our last lookbook, through October.
Yes, and a few November and December to throw in as bonuses.
Yes, a few little bonus books.
Exactly. Well, what have you been reading recently?
Well, the book that I just finished was a 5-star read for me. It's Slanting Towards the Sea by Lidija, Hilje, and this comes out July 8th. This is a complicated love story that I was just so drawn into. Slanting Towards the Sea spans 20 years and one life-altering summer in Croatia, and the story follows Ivana, who divorced the love of her life, Vlaho, a decade ago. They met when they were students at the turn of the millennium, when newly democratic Croatia was alive with all of this hope and promise. But then the challenges of living in this new country really put out Ivana's dreams one after another, and really a secret forced her to set the love of her life free. But now, 10 years later, Vlaho and Ivana's lives cross again. He is remarried with children, and she is really floundering in life. And so we see what happens after they meet up and the dynamics that unfold. I thought the Croatian setting was incredibly vivid. It just was such a transportive read, and definitely a page turner in the most unconventional way. It's not a quick moving plot, but it's just very tense, and you have to see what is going to happen with these people and their relationships and these choices that they're making. The other thing that's really remarkable about this book is the author's a debut, and she wrote the book in English, which is her second language. And even still, I was highlighting passages in my Kindle left and right. The writing was just so stunning. And that was Slanting Towards the Sea by Lidija, Hilje, and it comes out July 8th.
I'm so excited for this one after visiting Croatia last summer and then you talking about how good it is. I think it's interesting how that time period and that part of the world are starting to show up more in stories. I just read The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskens, which takes place right next door in Bosnia and Herzegovina, a little bit earlier, but still the same war and the same fight for freedom. So it's interesting to see how we're starting to learn more and see more about that part of the world.
Absolutely. It does seem to be a theme right now, which is very interesting.
I agree. And I love the cover on Slanting Toward the Sea.
Yes, it's a Croatian artist. It's a paint. It looks like a painting. And it's a Croatian artist, which is lovely.
Definitely.
Okay, what was your last read?
So one of my last reads that I loved was My Friends by Fredrik Backman, and it comes out May 6th. Backman returns with another beautifully crafted story. This one centered around 4 friends with difficult home lives who inspire a painting that becomes world famous. 25 years later, 17-year-old Louisa encounters the painter and is subsequently gifted this famous painting. While coming to terms with her bequest, she sets out on a cross-country journey to understand how the painting came to be as she learns about these 4 friends and their lasting legacy. My Friends delves into grief, love, overcoming hardship and trauma, the creation of art, and the lasting power of friendship. The ending was unexpected and very welcome, demonstrating that happy endings do not always take the form that we expect. I thought it was going in one direction, and instead it went down a different path, and I found it to be a nice surprise. It does slow down a bit from time to time, but that did not impact my enjoyment of the story at all. It's a tearjerker, so tissues will be needed. He really taps into all of the emotions. My Friends will be a top read of 2025 for me. I highly recommend it. It's a must-read for fans of books about human resilience and healing, and those who love lyrical prose. A Man Called Ove is one of my all-time favorite reads and still remains my favorite of his, but this is a close second. And that's My Friends by Fredrik Backman.
I cannot wait to read this one. I think it's going to be everywhere, and I'm so glad that you feel like it is top caliber for you.
It really was. He just taps in to these emotions and these stories, and you just want to know what's going to happen to his characters.
Yeah, I love that you're so invested in the story.
Absolutely. Well, what else have you read recently?
I just finished King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby, and this comes out June 10th. This book is not for everybody. I'm going to lead with that. This is described as a Godfather-inspired Southern crime epic and dazzling family drama. This is a really, really dark book, even by S.A. Cosby standards. A crematorium is the family business, thus the ashes and the namesake for the book. So if that gives you any direction where this is going, buckle up. So the story follows Roman Carruthers, who is summoned home after his father's car accident. When he returns to the small town, he finds his younger brother Dante in debt to these dangerous criminals. And then his sister Nevaeh is exhausted because she's really been holding down the family and the family business together. Nevaeh and their father, who run the Carruthers crematorium, see death up close every single day. But mortality draws even closer when it becomes clear that the crash that landed their father in a coma was no accident, and Dante's recklessness has placed them all in danger. So what's really unique about this book is Roman is such a flawed character, but he's really well drawn. He is this financial whiz, which kind of brings this unique, intellectual viewpoint to a gritty thriller, which I thought was great. So he's really great at finance. He's got this talent for making his clients rich. And then to save his brother from these dangerous gangsters, he's offering up his unique set of financial skills. There's also a mystery to be solved with the disappearance of Roman's mother when he and his siblings were teenagers. And I think that also made for a really intriguing storyline. The audiobook is narrated by Adam Lazar White, and he has narrated Cosby's previous books. He has the perfect voice, just this deep tenor, and it brings so much emotion to the story. And that was King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. It comes out June 10th, and I do not recommend it for sensitive readers.
And Cindy.
And Cindy, do not read this book.
I already knew that. His books are just too dark for me. He is such a delightful person, and people love his stories, and I'm all for people reading them. I just know I wouldn't sleep.
No, just skip right on over this one.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the second book in that new imprint from Flatiron, Pine and Cedar.
Yes, that's right. I wanted to mention that as well. So I do think that there's a lot to love about his books, but you have to be prepared for some pretty unsettling images.
Fair enough.
Yep. Okay, what about you?
So the other book that I recently finished is Valley So Low, One Lawyer's Fight for Justice in the Wake of America's Great Coal Catastrophe by Jared Sullivan, and it came out in the fall. For more than 50 years, a power plant in the little town of Kingston that was operated by the Tennessee Valley Authority burned some 14,000 tons of coal a day, creating a mountain of ash waste 60 feet high and covering 84 acres. Contained only by an earthen embankment instead of proper containment procedures. What could go wrong? On December 22, 2008, that embankment broke, unleashing a lethal wave of sludge that covered hundreds and hundreds of acres, damaging homes and precipitating a cleanup effort that would cost more than $1 billion and the lives of more than 50 workers. Jim Scott, a local attorney, after meeting with workers who had developed respiratory problems, decided to take on the TVA. He and his team that he hastily assembled gathered massive evidence of threats against workers, retaliatory firings, disregarding safety procedures, and test results, either hidden or altered, that would have revealed harmful levels of arsenic, lead, and radioactive materials at the cleanup site. At every stage, Scott, outmanned and nearly broke, had to overcome legal hurdles constructed by TVA and the firm it hired to execute the cleanup, along with the EPA. This book chronicles the long fight for justice that Scott and his clients endured to bring the story to light, but also to help them receive compensation for their many illnesses. I listened to this book, and I kid you not that every second I could listen, I did. If I had 5 minutes, if I had 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm putting it on again. It is so compelling, so horrifying, and I just had to know what happened. I was so sad for them all, but it is really, really engaging. It details the explosion and then what happens going forward. It's the same old story. It's like that movie about DuPont and Teflon Dark Waters and the tobacco industry, all these companies that know there's something wrong and that they're poisoning their workers and their employees, but they don't care and they don't do anything about it. So this is the same story all over again. And it is very compelling. It's very horrifying. It just made me so mad. I wanted to spit sometimes. but it was just awful. But also, I'm always so impressed with these people that make it their life mission to fight back. And I was very impressed with Jim Scott and all the people he recruited and all of these employees who were getting so much pushback, but insisted that something was wrong and they were falling so ill as a result of everything that TVA and then their contractor Jacobs was doing. And that is Valley So Low, When Lawyers Fight for Justice in the Wake of America's Great Coal Catastrophe by Jared Sullivan.
This sounds like such an unlikely book to get caught up in, but I love that you did. Was this the one where you're like, I cannot stop listening to this thing?
Yes. And I mean, I agree with you. You think, okay, really? That's that compelling? But the narrator does a great job and just explaining everything that happened and the length that the company went to push back. Like a lot of these guys would show up with prescriptions for masks because they would come home and they'd be covered in all this coal ash and it'd have to be washed, and washed and washed. And their wives were getting sick as well because they were handling all this stuff. They would go to the doctor because they weren't feeling well. And the doctor would say, okay, you need to be wearing a mask at work. And they would bring that to work and they would say, no, you're not going to do that. If you do that, we're firing you. And the time period for this is 2008, right after the huge financial collapse. So everybody needed work. Everybody was struggling financially. They couldn't turn away the jobs. And so it really put a lot of them in a huge bind. And all of these employees testified about how the company was manipulating the data and they didn't want local residents to be alarmed. And that's one of the reasons they didn't want the employees wearing masks, because they were telling everybody there was nothing wrong with all of this stuff that was going into the air. I mean, the whole thing was just horrifying.
That's very scandalous.
And sad.
Yeah.
I just don't know how these stories happen over and over again, but it was very well worth the listen. And certainly timely with all of this conversation about coal again. If you listen to this book, you will not think that coal as fuel is a great idea at all, especially if you live anywhere near one of these plants.
Oh, interesting. I love when books can just open up our minds and help us think through something in a different way.
I agree completely. So what are you currently reading?
Okay, I am 70% through The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb, and this comes out June 10th. I believe I talked about this one on a previous episode. This is another book about very difficult subject matter. So I'm going to, again, lead with that. The River is Waiting follows Corby Ledbetter, and he is a man who is just really struggling. He's a new father. He loses his job, and he's got a growing secret addiction that have really thrown his marriage and whole life into this tailspin. And that was before he causes the tragedy that tears his family apart. So the book starts off with this tragedy right out of the gate, and it's pretty shocking. So again, sensitive readers, take note. So Corey is sentenced to prison, and he's really struggling to survive life on the inside. He's bearing witness to these acts of brutality, but also he's experiencing small acts of kindness and kinship with the prison librarian who sees Corby's light and really humanizes some of these inmates. Corby begins to really transcend the boundaries of his confinement, and he has this hope that mercy and reconciliation might still be possible. I am always captivated by prison stories, and reading about life on the inside is an interesting window, I think, into the criminal legal system. I know that Wally Lamb, the author, has volunteered or worked in prisons before in some capacity. And so I love that he brings this authenticity to the story in the way that he humanizes the inmates. So I'm really excited to see how this wraps up. We are in prison most of the book, so there's not a ton of setting or really a fast-paced plot. But I think it's going to be one that really sticks with me. So that's The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb.
I love that we are in prison for most of the book.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively.
Literally, yes, we're here. We are here. Yes. What are you reading right now?
So I am listening to another nonfiction book. This time it is Everything is Tuberculosis, The History and Persistence of Our Deadliest Infection by John Green. I have started seeing this book everywhere, so I wanted to listen to it. And so far, it's really interesting. Tuberculosis has been entwined with humanity for millennia. Once romanticized as a malady of poets, today tuberculosis is a disease of poverty that walks the trails of injustice and inequity we blazed for it. In 2019, John Green met Henry, a young tuberculosis patient at Laka Government Hospital in Sierra Leone, while traveling with Partners in Health. He became fast friends with Henry, a boy with spindly legs and a big, goofy smile. In the years since that first visit to Lhasa, Green has become a vocal and dynamic advocate for increased access to treatment and wider awareness of the healthcare inequities that allow this curable, treatable infectious disease to also be the deadliest, killing 1.5 million people every year. In Everything is Tuberculosis, John tells Henry's story, woven through with the scientific and social histories of how tuberculosis has shaped our world and how our choices will shape the future of tuberculosis. While this book might seem a little random, it is fascinating so far. I am enjoying listening to him. He narrates it and learning a lot more about tuberculosis than I knew. And that is Everything is Tuberculosis, The History and Persistence of Our Deadliest Infection by John Green.
Okay, yesterday I joined the Nerds, which is the kind of Patreon or book club group that Sharon McMahon does. She's at Sharon Said So. She's America's government teacher, known on Instagram. And so she hosts some book clubs that I think are quarterly, and she has guest speakers come on. And so one of the books is Everything is Tuberculosis, and we're going to be able to meet virtually with John Green, the author. And so this one, I've kind of heard about it, and now I decided yesterday, I'm like, I'm going to pick this up. So I'm glad to hear that you're finding it enjoyable.
I just saw that this morning that she had picked it. So many people have already mentioned it to me, and I thought, well, I'm going to try it and see. And yes, it's good. And it's not very long. I think the whole audio is like 7 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah, it's quick. Well, what else are you reading?
I am reading This American Woman, a 1 in a Billion memoir by Garg, and this comes out April 29th. I just finished this memoir this morning, and so it's hot off the press, but I absolutely loved it despite having no knowledge of who Zarna Garg is. She apparently is a comedian, and she has opened for really big names like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Throughout Zarna's whole childhood in India, everyone called her so American just for reading the newspaper, having deep thoughts, and talking back to anyone over the age of 30. When Zarna's dad tried to marry her off at the age of 14, Zarna fled. First, she went to the streets of Mumbai, and ultimately she found herself in the glittering paradise of Akron, Ohio, where she got to become American for real. On Zarna's very American quest to find herself and her calling, she threw herself wholeheartedly into roles like dog bite lawyer, crazy perfectionist stay-at-home mom, Indian matchmaker, prize-winning screenwriter, and more. It wasn't until a dare that led her to a stand-up comedy open mic that Zarna finally found her home, getting paid cold hard cash for her big fat mouth. That was her words. She was so funny to listen to. She narrates the audiobook. I learned so much about Indian culture and arranged marriages and the way that women are perceived in India compared to the United States. She had such culture shock when she arrived here. And really, I loved to see just this fire inside of her and her passion to encourage others that it's never too late to reinvent ourselves. This is a really heartfelt memoir, but she brings such levity to some of these hard situations that she goes through because she is legitimately so funny. The audiobook was great because we get to hear chapters from each of her children who are teenagers and up, and we hear a chapter from her husband. And then there are also clips from some of her comedy specials that are live that are woven into the audiobook. So this was such a fantastic, pleasant surprise for me. It's This American Woman, a 1 in a Billion memoir by Zarna Garg, and it comes out April 29th.
And did you find that on the Penguin Random House audio app?
I did, because otherwise I don't think I ever would have stumbled upon this book, but it just came up as one of the monthly selections on the app for influencers. And I thought, oh, this looks great. I'll give it a try. And it was so good. I can't wait for other people to pick this up.
Okay, good. I'm going to go download it. I did not realize until recently that on that app for influencers, that if you find a book that you missed in the past, but it's still on there, you can request it and they'll send it to you.
Yeah, you can, like books that even were published like 10 years ago. If Penguin Random House published it and there's an audiobook for it, you can go grab it.
I did not know that. I am just recently learning it. And so several nonfiction books had been recommended to me, and I do better listening to them. It's just easier for me to get through them. Usually I often read the fiction and listen to the nonfiction. And so I went quickly on there, and 3 of them were on there, 2 of which it just said request, 1 of which I could just download. and I got them all. So I had no idea that all of these older books were on there, even ones that were like 8 months old versus, as you said, even 10 years old.
Right. It's a treasure trove of audiobooks. It
really is. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. So I'm like, oh, I'm just like a bonus here. So the other book I'm reading is one I think I've talked about before on these episodes, but I hadn't gotten to it yet because I was waiting on a finished copy because my galley was so old. It came from like September, and I thought, I wonder if anything's changed. So I just waited till my final copy got here. And that is The Names by Florence Knapp, and it comes out May 6th. This debut asks, can a name change the course of a life? In the wake of a catastrophic storm, Cora sets out with her 9-year-old daughter, Maya, to register her son's birth. Her husband, Gordon, a local doctor, respected in the community, but also a terrifying and controlling presence at home, intends for her to name the infant after him. But when the registrar asks what she'd like to call the child, Cora hesitates. Spanning 35 years, what follows are 3 alternate and alternating versions of Cora's and her young son's lives, shaped by her choice of a name. In richly layered prose, The Names explores the painful ripple effects of domestic abuse, the messy ties of family, and the possibilities of autonomy and healing. So this is being analogized to Sliding Doors, which I loved. The whole concept of what if and what paths our choices lead us down is always very fascinating for me. So I'm really excited to start this one. I've heard such good things, and it's up on my list for today, and that is The Names by Florence Knapp.
I thought this was such a great book. It really gives a thought-provoking perspective on just different ways your life can play out in something, as seemingly so insignificant as a name, or a name, what would happen if the name was different. And so I think it's fantastic. And again, perfect book club pick.
So many debuts. I just recently posted about all of the fabulous 2025 debuts so far. This one isn't in there yet because I hadn't finished it, nor was Slanting Toward the Sea. I just feel like this is the year of the very stellar debut.
Yes, absolutely.
What's up next for you?
Next up for me is The Midnight Estate by Kelly Rimmer. This comes out July 22nd. Kelly Rimmer has a very special place in my heart because I loved her World War II historical fiction book, The Things We Cannot Say, so much that I actually brought it to the hospital with me when I was in labor with my middle son because I was almost done with the book and I just couldn't put it down. So that was just an epic experience for me. So Kelly Rimmer is just cream of the crop. This book is a book within a book historical mystery. And I received an arc of it, and my mom recently read it first, and she gave it 5 stars. And she's very particular about which books that she gives 5 stars to. So I'm feeling very hopeful. Here's how the publisher describes the book. In the aftermath of a tumultuous year, Fiona Winslow finds solace in the decaying grandeur of Wurrumbira, the rambling family estate she once called home. Intent on restoring it, she discovers the keys to more than just the dilapidated mansion. Beneath the crumbling plaster and dust are secrets that have been buried for a generation. When a curious book, The Midnight Estate, catches her attention in her late uncle's library, Fiona is plunged into a tale that mirrors her own, a story of love, loss, and betrayal. But as the lines between fiction and reality blur, Fiona must ask herself, is the true mystery the one hidden within the walls of her ancestral home? Or is it within the pages of a book that chose her as much as she chose it? I love a book within a book. I'm such a sucker for that every single time. And my mom said that this was one that she just could not wait to get back to. It was one of those books where she was out doing something and she's like, oh, I got to get back and read. That was The Midnight Estate by Kelly Rimmer, and it comes out July 22nd.
I love that you brought one of her earlier books to the hospital with you when you were giving birth.
I know. The nurses were like, wow, what is that? And I'm like, I have to finish. And I did. I got an epidural, praise be. And so in between my contractions, as I was kind of laboring down, I'd just pick up my book and read for a little bit and go from there. I finished it right after he was born.
Okay, that's devotion.
I know. It was so good. Just a weeping mess, too. Just hormonal and reading about World War II, just all the atrocities in the world and the circle of life. It was just all too much.
Okay, so I don't have nearly that exciting a story, but my next up book is The Passengers on the Hankyu Line by Hiro Arakawa, which comes out June 3rd. Between 2 beautiful Japanese towns is a stunning mountainous area of Japan, where the Hankyu Line train rattles along. Passengers step on and off, lost in thought, contemplating the tiny knots of their existence. On the outward journey, we are introduced to the emotional dilemmas of 5 characters. And on the return journey, 6 months later, we watch them find resolutions. A young man meets the young woman who always happens to borrow a library book just before he can check it out himself. A woman in a white bridal dress boards, looking inexplicably sad. A university student heads home after class. A girl prepares to leave her abusive boyfriend. And an old lady discusses adopting a dog with her granddaughter. With stories that crisscross like the railway lines, the Hankyu train trundles on, propelling the lives and loves of its passengers ever forward. So, as I'm sure anyone who listens to me at all knows, I love these stories that are being translated from the Japanese and the Korean, and I'm so curious about this one. The writing style is really different generally, and I enjoy it. It is sometimes not as descriptive and a little more straightforward, but I've enjoyed anything that I have read recently that has been translated, and this is The Passengers on the Hankyu Line by Hiro Arakawa.
I will be curious to see what you think of that one. That sounds interesting.
It does sound interesting. So what else is up next for you?
The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. This comes out June 3rd. This is recommended for fans of Rebecca Cyril and Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's light magical realism / alternate reality / sliding door story. And my friend Ivana at Beaches Books and Bubbles really liked this book, and sliding doors is kind of her keyword to know if she's going to pick up a book that she's going to love. She just can't get enough of that. And this book was so perfect for her, she said. So the story follows Hollywood's latest heartthrob, Meg Bryan. She appears to have everything that she's ever wanted, but underneath, her happiness is as fake as her stage name, Lana Lord. Following a tiny nervous breakdown at her 30th birthday party, she books an impromptu trip to Ireland to the village where she and her best friend Amy always dreamt of moving. When Meg arrives, the people in town don't just recognize her, they seem to actually know her. She quickly, reluctantly realizes that she has somehow slipped into an alternate reality, one where she did move to Ireland as a teenager, and one where she never got famous, and most shocking of all, one where Amy is alive and well. She just wanted nothing to do with Meg. Despite her bewilderment, Meg is clear-eyed about one thing. This is a once-in-2 lifetimes chance to reconnect with her friend and repair what she broke, or else risk losing Amy all over again. This book has gotten really great early reviews, and I trust Ivana with her book recommendations, so I'm excited to give this one a try. That's The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. It comes out June 3rd.
I can't wait to hear what you think.
Yes. Okay, what is your next book?
The other one that's up for me soon is All the Glimmering Stars by Mark Sullivan, which came out last year. Anthony Apoka and Florence Akori are coming of age in Uganda in the 1990s. Outstanding students, they believe in being good humans before they are kidnapped and forced into the fanatical Lord's Resistance Army. In a legion of young recruits, no one gets closer than Anthony to powerful, messianic warlord Joseph Kony and his darkest secrets. To stay sane as he spirals through chaos, Anthony clings to his childhood lessons about being a good human. Florence's upbringing grounds her too, helping her keep her dreams alive even as she's pulled deeper into the insanity of Kony's war. At the lowest point of their lives, certain they'll never go home, Anthony and Florence meet by chance, fall in love, and begin to dream of surviving their captivity. They devote their lives to helping their fellow child soldiers escape bondage and return to their families and find redemption by following the stars. So one of my close friends visited a couple weeks ago here in Richmond, and we had so much fun doing a variety of things, but she recommended this book while she was here. Since I just visited Rwanda this year and Uganda's right next door, she thought I might really enjoy it. So I ordered it, and I'm going to be starting it soon. I enjoyed his book Beneath the Scarlet Sky when it came out a few years ago, and this sounds like it will be tough but powerful, and that's All the Glimmering Stars by Mark Sullivan.
I really like that title. It's just very, alluring.
I agree.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides. Y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Have you read anything that hasn't worked for you?
Yes. I read most of Notes on Infinity by Austin Taylor. This comes out June 3rd. It's a debut and it follows two Harvard students, Zoe and Jack, and they find themselves in this biotech startup world when they announce they've discovered the cure for aging. So the book was described as a different kind of love story where this thirst for achievement kind of consumes and takes over with really high stakes. I just didn't feel the high stakes. I really liked the first 20% and the setting at Harvard, but then things really slowed down for me. Like the science was getting very heavy and kind of bogging things down. Early reviewers said that the second half of the book was so propulsive, but I got to 70% and I didn't feel that at all. So I figured if I hadn't felt that at that point, it was time to set it aside. I also felt like I didn't really know the characters. Like the author had kept them at an arm's length from the reader. So this one just wasn't for me. That was Notes on Infinity by Austin Taylor, and it comes out June 3rd.
So many June 3rd books.
Yes, I feel like I'm saying June 3rd a lot.
Yeah, me too. Aftertaste by Daria Lavelle is one that did not work for me. And I have to say I was super disappointed because I know I talked about it on this show and I had been really looking forward to it. I loved the idea of it so much, but halfway through, it just kind of goes off the rails. And I think part of the problem for me was I really thought it was going in one direction and it went in another much stranger direction. And that just didn't work for me. So I have been hearing good things about this one. Mary Weber O'Malley recommended it on my show recently. I've seen other booksellers recommending it, but it was not a fit in the slightest for me. And that's Aftertaste by Daria Lavelle.
Okay. I know you had quite the journey with that book.
I did. I kept trying it because several people had recommended it, but the farther I got, the worse it got for me. So I was like, okay, just give up.
Oh, man. Okay.
Do you have any others?
I do. The Marigold Cottage Murder Collective by Joe Nichols. It's out August 19th. I was so excited about this book because the cover is adorable and I just was in a really cozy mystery mood for the last month or so. The book started off strong as we meet the quirky characters, but it ultimately was moving so slow. So this is one of those books where the publisher synopsis, I fear, gives away like the entire plot because I made it through 60% of the book and there are still multiple plot points listed in this publisher synopsis that have not even happened yet. So I just think if we're past the 60% mark, you shouldn't be telling people what is happening and giving away all of these plot points. So I don't know. Nothing was really happening. So I set it aside for now.
I think I told you I set this one aside too. I tried. It was just really slow. And I'm really liking all these light mysteries, but I just couldn't. Nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It made me feel validated when I heard that you also set it aside after I told you, this one's not working for me. Because, yeah, it just maybe is a slower story. Not for us right now.
Exactly. And that's okay. It's just it didn't work.
Yep.
The other one that I really, really wanted to like, and I also struggled with, was Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. Her book, The 7-Year Slip, is one of my all-time favorite romances. But her last book, A Novel Love Story, and this one have just not worked as well for me. Sounds Like Love actually started off really well, and I posted about it as a Friday read, and it was going well. And then it just slowed down so much. Like, I just feel like both her last book and this book could have been compacted down a fair amount. Like, a lot of editing could have happened, made the story tighter, but I just got kind of tired of it after a while. And I'm not a big romance reader, so I'm probably not the target audience for this one, so I don't want to deter anybody else from reading it. It might be a perfect fit for you, but it just didn't work for me.
Oh, man, that's a bummer, especially from an author that really just was a big win for you previously.
I think that's when it's the hardest, when you've read a book by an author that you love and you're really excited for the next one, and it's just not a fit for you.
Mm-hmm. It feels extra sad.
Yes, for sure. Well, what about what's come in the mail recently?
Okay, I feel like with my summer reading guide prep, I have a lot of really great fiction or heavier books. But for summer, we need light and frothy, and I just have not had big wins in that category yet. So these next two books I'm hoping will fit that bill. First, we have Mean Moms by Emma Rosenblum. This comes out July 29th. Meet Frost, Morgan, and Belle, a wealthy, gorgeous group of New York City moms, the queen bees of downtown Manhattan. Their children attend this top academy. It's a private school in the city. Their social lives revolve around these elaborate themed parties. On the first day of school, the arrival of a new mom and mysterious beauty from Miami, Sophia, shakes up their world. When Sophia quickly integrates herself into their clique, inexplicably bad things start to happen to the women. Is someone at school out to get them? So this book spans the course of an eventful school year in New York, and it's just part of this satire, upper crust momming, part mystery that really explores the line between friendship and jealousy and gets at the question, what would happen if the woman standing next to you at school pickup was actually a sociopath? That is Mean Moms by Emma Rosenblum, and it comes out July 29th.
I just put that one into the literary lookbook over the weekend, our list for that, and it looked entertaining.
Yes, I got an arc of it a few weeks ago, and I was just kind of looking for some lighter books to read coming up, and I'm like, this is the one.
It should fit the bill.
I hope so.
Well, today, a book I'm very excited about arrived. It's A Most Puzzling Murder by Bianca Marais, and it comes out June 10th. Destiny Whip is a former child prodigy, world-renowned enigmatologist. I don't think I'm saying that word right, but that's okay. And very, very alone. A life filled with loss has made her a recluse, an existence she's content to endure until a letter arrives inviting her to interview for the position of Scruffmore family historian. Not only does an internet search for the name yield almost nothing, it's a role she's never applied to in the first place. After she decodes the invitation's hidden message with ease, the promise of her family secrets being revealed is too powerful a draw for the orphaned Destiny, who finds herself on Erie Island. It's a place whose inhabitants are almost as inhospitable as the tempestuous weather. The Scruffmores themselves turn out to be not much better, a snarled mess of secrets and motives connected by their mistrust for one another. Their newly arrived guest proves to be just as much an enigma to them as they are to her. While Destiny slowly works to unravel the mysteries hidden throughout the ominous castle, she struggles to interpret disturbing nightly visions of what is to come. In the midst of cryptic ciphers, hidden passages, and the family's magical heritage and line of succession, Destiny is certain of two things. One of the Scruffmores is going to die, and she's running out of time to stop it. This sounds like so much fun. You know me, I love unique stories, and I love stories that are told in a different manner. The publisher describes this one as a mix of choose-your-own-adventure and the lighter mysteries genre, so I'm like, that should be a good fit for me. A Most Puzzling Murder by Bianca Marais comes out June 10th.
That sounds so fun.
I'm excited. It has a great cover.
It does. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love it. So what else has come for you recently?
The other book mail that I recently received was Abigail and Alexa Save the Wedding by Lian, Dolan, and it comes out May 20th. This is described as a champagne sparkling summer read about two very different women planning their children's wedding in glamorous Montecito, California. Penelope and Chase make a lovely couple. She's bubbly from Southern California. She's got a great work ethic. Chase is smart and charming, and he's got these political aspirations. They're planning a spectacular California wedding wrapped in peonies and thousands of little white lights soaked in custom cocktails and romantic hashtags. Everyone's excited about Penny and Chase's wedding, except their mothers. The mother of the bride, suave Greek-born Alexa Diamandis, doesn't understand why any woman would get married, ever. She was raised in Athens, and now she's perfectly situated in sun-splashed Montecito, California. She actually raised Penny as a single mother by choice. Then we have the mother of the groom, Abigail Blakeman. She is a garden club stalwart firmly planted in coastal Connecticut. She thinks the whole enterprise would be so much easier if the wedding was at their golf club. But when a sudden twist of fate calls them into action, these two very different women are forced to take over the wedding planning despite their differences. I think this sounds, again, frothy and fun and perfect for wedding season and poolside reading this summer, and I hope it works for me. That's Abigail and Alexa Save the Wedding by Lian, Dolan. It comes out May 20th.
That does sound cute. I agree with you that there have been a lot of heavy reads this spring. I've had to kind of space them out because I don't read as heavy often, but there have been so many I wanted to read. I don't want to miss them. I'm having to just alternate between heavy and lighter, but it does feel like there's a lot of darkness. So it's nice to find a light one.
Yes, I agree. We were talking, there's so many good books, but a lot of them feel more like a fall or a winter read, like you want to get under a blanket and be cozy and not, read about the sadness of the world next to the pool. I mean, I do like that, but I realize that's not the general population.
I always say, I think summer reading should be whatever any particular person wants it to be. If you want to read light, read light. If you want to read heavy. So I always do a big mix, but it is nice to have some light. You want to be able to reach those people too.
Exactly.
So the other one that just recently came for me that I'm really excited about is The Last Assignment by Erica Roebuck, and it comes out August 19th. Manhattan, 1956. Since her arrest for disobeying orders and going ashore at Iwo Jima almost a decade earlier, combat correspondent Georgette Dickey Chappelle has been unmoored. Her military accreditation was revoked, her marriage is failing, and her savings is dwindling. So she jumps at an opportunity to work with an international refugee association, one with intelligence ties. In the aftermath of a refugee rescue that goes wrong, a flame is lit inside Dickey to survive in order to be the world's witness to war from the front lines. Never content to report on battles unless her own boots are on the ground, Dickey and her camera journey with American and international soldiers from frozen wastelands to raging seas to luscious jungles, covering the plight of those suffering from humanity's endless cycle of violence. Told in an alternating prose and epistolary format, The Last Assignment takes readers along on Dickey's missions to the Hungarian Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, and the earliest days of the war in Vietnam, revealing one woman's extraordinary courage and tenacity in the face of discrimination and danger. So this is definitely not in line with the lighter books, but it sounds wonderful. And Erica always brings these women unknown to history or lost to history to the forefront, and I thoroughly enjoy her books, so I'm really excited about this one. And that's The Last Assignment by Erica Roebuck.
That does sound great.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's got another good cover.
Oh, good. I hope that's a winner for you.
Me too. So we talked a little bit about the lookbook, and we're working on that. Did you have anything else? You have some chapters and chats coming up?
Yes, I have 2 chapters and chats coming up that we're very excited about. We have in May, Claire Leslie Hall for Broken Country. And then in June, we have Virginia Evans for The Correspondent. And then we have Sarah Demoff, the author of The Bright Years, coming up in July. So lots of good chats coming up. Feel free to message me on Instagram or email me, kellyhook.readsbooks@gmail.com if you want to join.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to the one for The Correspondent. I just love that book. And
Yes.
I really enjoyed The Bright Years too, so I need to get added to that one.
Yes, so many good ones coming. So the other thing I'm excited about is I recently launched a free autism reading guide. This is a resource that I hope is very helpful for kids and adults. It's different from my other reading guides in that it does feature children's books alongside of books for adults as well. So these books, I have all read them and found them helpful for very different purposes. And so I've got the categories set up to hopefully guide you if you're a new parent looking at an autism diagnosis for a child, where to start and what to look into. If you want to explain to your child what autism is or what neurodiversity is, there's a section for that. There's a section that's practical help for kids with autism. So this is available via the link in my bio, or just reach out to me if you would like a copy of the PDF. I really, really hope that it is helpful. I wish that when my son was diagnosed, somebody would have just handed this to me and said, work your way through these, because there's just so many things that I'm learning, especially the section on memoirs that are written by autistic people. I've just learned so much. So I hope it's helpful, and yeah, definitely a labor of love, but happy to have it out there.
And it's a wonderful guide. When I shared about it, several people came back and said, thank you so much. And I passed it on to you. I'm just so happy that people are finding it helpful.
Yes, I've had some really great discussions come from it too. So I'm really, thankful that it's out there.
Me too. And I'm hosting 2 events in Richmond with Francine Katzen at her house. So I've been still struggling with exactly what I wanted to do with the salon and how to host it, what it should look like. So Francine asked if I wanted to help with a couple of events, and I jumped at the chance for that. So in June, we're hosting Audrey Ingram for the Summer We Ran. A little bit later in June, we're hosting Christy Woodson Harvey for Beach House Rules. If anybody's interested in either of those events and you live in or around Richmond or even a little farther out and you want to come in for them, you can DM me through Instagram, Thoughts from a Page, or you can send me a note through my website or email me if you have my email. I'd love to add you to the list. I'm really excited about both of them.
Those sound like great events. I loved The Summer We Ran. It's such a fantastic book.
Yes, I'm really excited. Well, as always, Kelly, thank you so much for joining me. These are really fun episodes, and I'm always adding books to my list, and I hear great feedback on them from people.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I love chatting with you too. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules. And no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. I would love to connect with you on Instagram or Facebook, where you can find me at Thoughts from a Page. If you enjoy the show and have a moment to rate it or subscribe to it wherever you listen to your podcasts, I would really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference. And please tell all of your friends about Thoughts from a Page. Word of mouth does wonders to help the show grow. I hope you'll tune in next time.